Hello and welcome to Dave's Delightful Dishes. As always, I'm Dave, and I am delighted to have you visiting me in my kitchen. And today, we're going to do a special take on chicken enchiladas. Come check it out. So, I saw this recipe when I was going through a magazine in the checkout aisle of my grocery store, and it was instead of using a tortilla for the enchiladas, it's using cabbage leaves. And I happen to be a really big fan of stuffed cabbage in like the normal ways people have it. So I thought this could be really good because I like stuffed cabbage. Why wouldn't I like it Mexican style? So we're going to give it a try and we'll see how it all turns out. So let's talk about the ingredients. Obviously, you need cabbage leaves. Now, I've taken a head of cabbage and broken it down a little bit, as you're going to see in this little clip I'm going to pop in here. Boil them lightly. And I've got 4 cups, or really it's like 3 chicken breasts worth of shredded chicken. You can buy a rotisserie chicken at your store, or you can buy chicken breasts or chicken thighs or whatever type of meat you want as far as the part of the chicken, and just cook it up, or if it's a rotisserie one, it'll be already cooked. Shred it with 2 forks, and it is ready to rock. We have a tablespoon of olive oil, an onion, and an onion that we've chopped, and a red bell pepper that we've chopped. One thing that people say is they don't see enough of my knife work, so here's a little thing of me chopping up some of these vegetables. As you can see, it doesn't have to take all day, but remember, sharp knives work a lot better than dull ones. We need 2 teaspoons of cumin and 2 teaspoons of chili powder. I need a teaspoon of salt, 2 cloves of garlic that have been minced, a half a cup of sour cream, 1 lime sliced in half, 2 tablespoons plus some extra of cilantro that I've chopped up pretty fine. A cup of, this is a mix of cheddar and Monterrey Jack. So it's kind of like if you go to the store, you'll probably find one that says, taco mix. That's a pretty good option here. And then 2 cans, this is one of the cans, of red enchilada sauce. If you want to make it yourself, go ahead. But I find that for sauces like this, it's just as easy for me to pick them up at the store since they already exist. But I can bump it up from the standard store thing by adding 1 teaspoon of cumin and 1 teaspoon of chili powder, and then the juice of a half of a lime, and stirring it together. It'll give it a little bit more flavor than what you normally get just out of a can. And those are the ingredients. So let's get started. We got to start off with with softening up these cabbage leaves over at the cooktop. Now, with this boiling water that I've got in a big pot here, what we're going to do is we're going to take these cabbage leaves one at a time, and I got to keep the temperature up. It's basically boiling, but we want to keep it nice and hot, and we're going to drop that in and get it so it softens up. And it's probably going to take 10 to 15 seconds. You could put the whole head of cabbage in, but it takes longer to get it all soft. So your best bet is just take a couple minutes longer to do them one at a time like this. And once it starts seeming pliable, then they are ready to pull out. And then we have to remove this thick stem here, because that won't roll very well. All right, that one looks ready. And you just cut along this woody piece of stem just like that. And you get rid of that. And then the rest of this is ready to wrap. Okay, so I've got my skillet, and I'm using cast iron, but you can use whatever you've got handy. I've got this over medium heat, And we are now making the filling. Got my tablespoon of oil in there. Take advantage of the fact that I can touch this handle right now. I won't be able to later. And then I have to put in my peppers and my onions. And some salt. Now we're going to let this just kind of go for about 5 minutes. But when I say we let this go, what I mean is we just got to keep moving it. So just like you're used to seeing with me on my show, when we're doing the peppers and onions, it looks like this. And then through the magic of editing, and as always, look at how quick. It was about 4 minutes. But look at that difference there. This is all softened up. It's translucent. And as usual, it smells amazing. So we're about to make it more so. Let's add in our 2 cloves of garlic. Give that about 30 seconds. Let that wake up a little bit. And then I'll put in the rest of my salt. And my chili pepper, or my chili powder. And my cumin. And we stir that all together for about a minute. And you see how it's like right now it's drying everything out because that all these seasonings are absorbing the liquid that was in the pan. Well, we're going to put the chicken in now. Oh, don't escape. And we just got to work on combining all that. And also just kind of getting the chicken up to temperature. And now I'm going to pour in a cup of the enchilada sauce. This one I have not bumped up because I've already got all those same seasonings in here. The one that I'm going to put on for a topping later, that I will add an extra teaspoon of cumin and chili powder and some lime juice too. All right. Once we have this all really combined and you can see it simmering at the edges, we are going to turn the heat off, and then we got to let this cool just a little bit. This is definitely a prepare ahead of time dish, just because you need to be able to handle this. And if it's fresh off of the stovetop, it's a little tough to roll the cabbages. All right, so this is cooled down a little bit, but you can see it is still simmering. So before we let it cool all the way, I want to take that 2 tablespoons of cilantro and just let that go in there, and then we'll mix it all in. And I'm reserving enough to have as a garnish and topping later. If you're one of those people, or you have people that are just not cilantro eaters, because some people it tastes like soap for. If you're one of those, then just go ahead and keep this as an on-the-side thing for people to add at the end. Because no sense ruining the meal for that one person who can't eat cilantro at all. So now that we've got everything ready to go here, I've got an oven preheated to 350 degrees, and we're going to wrap ourselves some cabbage rolls. And because cabbage is one of those things that people either love or hate, I'm also going to intersperse with tortillas. So I'm going to have, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That way, if someone doesn't happen to like the cabbage rolls, they can have a regular enchilada as well. So we're going to take some of this meat, mix, and get it in. And then I'm going to fold the sides up and give it a wrap just like that. And then that's going to go inside a 9x13 baking sheet that I've greased. It doesn't necessarily need the greasing, but I tend to always do that because I prefer to be able to get things off easily rather than with great difficulty. And then I'm going to make a tortilla one. Now the tortilla ones I'm going to leave open-ended because they're enchiladas, not burritos. And then we're going to go back and forth, back and forth. You can decide how big or how small you want these to be, by the way. It is your choice. If you want to cut these cabbage leaves in half and make mini ones, that'd be just fine too. Back and forth and back and forth. Let me unroll that one because I'm going to do the ends. There you go. See, with the end closed, it'll hold up a lot better. And I have one of these plastic containers for the tortillas so they can stay hot and soft. Today I'm using flour tortillas because my market was out of corn tortillas, which is my normal go-to. But for this kind of dish, I think it'll be just fine. And this is definitely finger work, so make sure your hands are washed. Okay, I'm going to finish these off, and I'll get back to you once we're ready to put the toppings on. So now that we have them all filled in there, it looks like this. And the last step before we put it in the oven is I'm going to take my other can of enchilada sauce, which ends up being about a cup. Each of those little cans that you see in the store is about a cup. And I'm going to just pour this all over. And I hate to waste like a last eighth of a cup, so let's just put it in along the edges. Now that's nice and drunken. Now you're going to take this cheese blend, and I'm going to leave a little section for me because I don't eat cheese, but for everybody else, and if you're having people at your house for this to eat this who don't have cheese, you can always have this on the side, or you can do halvesies, so that way there's some for everybody. But in this case, I'm just going to leave a small section for me, and everybody else can enjoy the rest of it. And we want to get a nice spread, thick spread of cheese, because people who eat it love it. There we go. That's about a full cup right there of cheese. As you can see, that is done. We're going to put this in this 350-degree oven for 20 minutes, which will by which point this cheese will be nice and melty and everybody looking great. I'll see you in a bit. So while this is in the oven, we got one last thing to do. We need to take our half cup of sour cream and our lime. We're going to squeeze the lime juice into the sour cream. Just so, using my superhuman strength. There. And then we got to stir that together, which will turn this more into a sauce rather than just solid cream. And it'll probably curdle a little bit too, but that's fine. And then this smoother cream that you see, we can then stir up real nice, and we can serve it on the side as a dipping sauce, or we can actually drizzle it on top, depending on what you want to do for presentation. So that's now ready to go. Fresh out of the oven and still bubbling. So you want to let that cool enough so that you can handle it before you bring it over for service. But let's head over to the workstation, and we're going to get this on a plate. Cool. Time to get this out onto a plate. Probably being left-handed. I go from this direction, and I'm going to grab, well, I might go from this direction. And I'm going to grab under a cabbage one. and a tortilla one. Perfect. And you can feel free to clean up the edges of your plate later. And now I've got to take some cilantro over the top. And I'm going to take a dollop of this citrusy sour cream. And an extra lime wedge on the side. And minus the little bit of cheese on the edge of the plate, this is really delightful. Now, I do believe this is something you can use as a main course, or certainly this would be great for a party. It would even be good for like a potluck or something like that, or you could make these smaller and have them be like a past hors d'oeuvre. Really, the sky's the limit. The smell is amazing. I'm sure they taste good. I actually may have had one on the side while we were not filming, and they came out really nice. And I think this is something you should do at home. So by all means, you should give this a shot and let me know how it went. The best way to let me know things is in the comments here, or you can also do it on my Facebook page for Dave's Delightful Dishes, which I will link in the description below. Also, you saw the recipe, but my ingredients list will be in the bottom of the description, and I really hope you guys try it. Go check things out. Let me know what you think, and let me know what to try next. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you again soon.